And joining us here on NDTV is former Indian ambassador to France, Javed Ashraf. Ambassador Ashraf, really appreciate your time. We are speaking to you at a time when Pakistan has again tried to breach Indian defenses at various points along the international border. The sense is that the general in Rawalpindi is taking Pakistan down a very, very dangerous path. So I wish to ask you, sir, is Pakistan playing a losing game?
Well, I think it's a choice that Pakistan made. You know, when we carried out the overnight strikes on the very, very precise strikes on terror infrastructure, 9 sites, they had a choice. I mean, we had said, of course, that we have achieved our objectives. We do not wish to escalate this further. And they could have taken a different path, but they chose to escalate. And necessarily, their retaliation had to be on civilian or military targets in India, which is what they did. In a sense, they declared war against India. And having done that, they should have been prepared for a massive retaliation, which is what happened. In a sense that we responded with deep strikes. I don't need to repeat it here to the audience. And again, they tried to come back last night with an even more intense attack, which is going to get responded to. There are 3 levels at which they are conducting their operations. One, of course, is that traditional way of massive, intense, heavy firing along the international border and the LOC because of dense population and military infrastructure there. The second is the use of new weapon system standoffs, drones, etc. And the third is the information warfare. And that is something also which they have been carrying out very intensely. But I think we have been very clear in what we wish to do. We will, if they choose to retaliate, maintain the escalation dominance at every stage of the escalation. If they choose to expand, currently this is taking place in a particular domain, then we would obviously have overwhelming dominance in the naval domain. We will prevail in the air, and we'll certainly be very, very effective on the ground level also. So they have to find a way. Perhaps I think, Maria, that the depth of our penetration, the scale of our attack, and the nature of targets that we were able to get successfully went way beyond the expectations. And I think the military, which is already a pretty discredited institution and is facing some level of opposition within, needs to restore its prestige. But I think there is a point which they have to realize that India is going to have to be very clear about its objective, that justice has to be delivered, that deterrence has to be marked, that militarily we have to prevail and unambiguously do that, and that our political will and resolve have to be conveyed, and our capacity to project power has to be established. And I think with these objectives that we are going forward, we have a much larger staying capacity and we much larger economy. And for all the responsibility and restraint we have exercised, and I think the leadership is fully cognizant of the larger, broader implications this has. But there is a need to establish this deterrence. There's a need to get this justice done and to convey, as your just breaking news had shown, to the world that we went in to achieve our objectives. We achieved it. Here is a precise, clear evidence that we targeted terrorists, their infrastructure, and we did not have any collateral civilian damage, or we did not target the military there, in a sense that we were not taking the reckless path of starting a war. We did what we had to do as a matter of our right to defend and our right to respond. So I really think that it is something for the general there to recognize that there are sometimes a point of inflection at which you have to realize that you may be able to achieve your objectives of restoring prestige, conveying that we were able to withstand India's assault, etc., in a different way, rather than trying to achieve it militarily and facing greater both economic and military damage to the country.
Well, one hopes, Ambassador Ashraf, that inflection point has arrived, at least in the mind of General Asim Munir. They have a window today. And would you agree with me, Ambassador, that the Saudi minister who is in Islamabad today after the visit in New Delhi can possibly have the best possible chance under the given set of circumstances and under the present situation to prevail upon not only the civilian leadership of Pakistan, but also on General Asim Munir to ensure that from here on there is de-escalation and disengagement?
I think it is possible for the Saudis to exercise some degree of influence. But, as you would have seen in recent times, the entire international system seems to be in a state of collapse and turbulence. Everyone is preoccupied with their own set of challenges and problems, from the United States to Europe to China to Russia, Gulf countries, Middle East. So it remains to be seen whether the general there and the civilian leadership would listen to the wise counsel, which I hope the Saudi leadership be able to convey to them. It would be, I think, wise of Pakistan to, at this stage, listen to that kind of a counsel and find a way out of this. It is not our business to give, and I'm sure the government is not, I don't speak for the government, but I'm sure the government is not going to provide any sort of a face saver to them, which continues to create that incentives for future assaults and to build a narrative that they had repelled India, that they deterred India, that India tried to use some sort of a false flag operation to carry out for its own reasons attack on Pakistan, and that sort of a narrative is something which it's not just an issue for what it means here. It's also something that is important to sort of repudiate, because it's necessary for the deterrence in the long run. And therefore, I think it is important that this message be conveyed very clearly by the Saudis, that it would be the best interest for them to de-escalate at this stage. But, one has to still be a little skeptical. I'm not sure that anyone has that level of influence anymore.
Then let me ask you a more straighter question, Ambassador. And that straighter question is that, which is also possibly the question in top of minds of both the citizens of India and Pakistan. Will the Pakistanis take the safer route that the government of India has constantly been providing them of non-escalation from here on, after having displayed some bit of their aggression yesterday night? Or will they still continue to choose to escalate this situation even from here on?
So I think we've discussed this, that this is a window that they have to. This evening will perhaps be one indication of what they do. But I don't think that we would need to then sit back and say, okay, if this evening passes peacefully, if this night passes without, flares and fireballs in the sky and on the ground, that that's an end. I mean, there can be a pause, and then they can look for a moment of opportunity again. There can also be an effort at massive infiltration and a subconventional attack, which, a terrorist attack again, something of that nature. It could be also down the line. So I think that, yes, when it comes to direct military operations, I think that, from here on, what would they be looking for? Would they be looking to expand it to other domain, ground offensives or naval? Or would they be looking for military or fighter jets in large numbers to come in? Or would they continue with their UAVs and missiles? Having all of these intercepted, they may still hope that they can get one major target in India, one major civilian or one major military target in India, and that would be some sense a sense of achievement or accomplishment, success for them. And so therefore, while yesterday showed that while if they raise the intensity, they will be met with a counter effort of equally or greater intensity, but you could still try to see that, okay, let me see if I can penetrate this wall and achieve some major success. And at the same time, you continue to intensify something which they are comfortable with, which they can persist with for some time, which is very intense firing across the LOC and the international border, which will put,
and possibly cross-border infiltration.
Yeah, as I said, the cross-border infiltration, we've just heard BSF foiled 7 of those. So I think today is a very, in a sense, critical. We saw an escalation yesterday. Can it go up even further? It could, but I think the wiser counsel would be that they could show that they have the capacity to conduct this, but that they wanted to send a message to India and that they can reassure their people with whatever message they want to convey. And then start working out of this. But remember, from our point of view, this is not about a war with Pakistan that we want to carry out endlessly. Our objective remains that we establish deterrence, that we send a punitive message that, if this continues in the future, you're going to met with similar kind of or enhanced retaliation. And
I'm completely running out of time, but let me ask you my final question. My final
Yes.
question to you is that what essentially you are saying is that we are in a prolonged period of uncertainty from here on as far as India-Pakistan security scenario is concerned. Briefly, Ambassador.
Yeah, so I think, yes, certainly the emotions are very strong. The feelings are very high. The people, the armed forces on the highest state of alert. It needn't carry out in the way this has happened in the last 2 nights or the 3 nights, but that it will take some effort and some time for it to completely de-escalate or completely stop. These are things that have reached a level which we have not seen for a long time. And therefore, we'll have to continue to be extremely alert and extremely prepared, which we are, I'm sure, for we hope for the best, but we're prepared for the worst case scenario in terms of the escalatory steps that Pakistan is willing to take.
Ambassador Ashraf, thank you very much. I wish we could have a longer discussion on this one, but most probably that's reserved for the next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Right. Thank you.
On that note, we are slipping into a short break. News and updates will continue with Deepthi on the other side.